little discussion today about Alberni Valley Waterfront. So welcome, Chris.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
And can maybe the first question I have is maybe for people who don't know where the Alberni Valley is, if you could tell us a little bit about where it is, and I'll bring up a map so people can see exactly where we're talking about.
Absolutely. The Alberni Valley is right in the middle of Vancouver Island. Sometimes we call it the heart of Vancouver Island. I always say it's one of the great things about the real estate here is that we are central. So we are about an hour's drive from the ferry terminal in Nanaimo, an hour and 15-minute drive from the international airport in Comox. But then on the other side, you can get to the west coast, about an hour and a half to the west coast. Capital city of Victoria is 2.5 hours away, so we really are right in the middle of things, and at the same time have the most affordable waterfront real estate on Vancouver Island.
Yeah, that's one thing I really noticed was that, you know, especially for the ocean front, it just seems like it's significantly less than some of the other areas on the island. So I want to get into that interview, but I'm just trying to get a map of the up here so we can talk about the different types of waterfront, and it's just taking a little bit of time to get it up, so bear with me here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here is Sproat Lake, here's Port Alberni, and this is kind of like the middle of Vancouver Island here. Is that right? Is it the middle, or is it a little bit north?
Well, we're south from the perfectly being the middle, but we're in the middle of all the major centers for sure.
Right, okay. So why don't we first talk a little bit about Sproat?
Okay, Sproat Lake is one of the most beautiful, it's a large lake, one of the most beautiful warm water lakes in BC. There's a number of arms to it. Overall, there's about 330 kilometers of lakefront frontage, but far less than half of that is developed. So it's definitely still a pristine lake while being very, very active.
And what's kind of like an average single-family price on that on Sproat?
I would say the average single-family house on Sproat Lake is around the $800,000 mark, but they range anywhere from even $500,000 up to several $1 million.
Right, and there's also some lakefront there that's around this area, I think, here. That's boat access only, and there's some cabins there that you can buy.
I'm not seeing the map, but I'm assuming you mean on Sproat Lake. There's places like Dog Mountain. There's some more cabins that are farther out Taylor Arm. These are more affordable recreational opportunities. Tend to be anywhere from $300,000 to $400,000.
Oh, okay. Okay, and then also there is some riverfront there. Is that correct?
There is. Two other freshwater water frontage we have Great Central Lake, which is very much in its infancy of being developed. But we also have the Somas River, which heads in from the Alberni Inlet, which is the inlet that Port Alberni is built on.
Yeah.
The Somas River and the Stamp River. Now, waterfront there is a rarity to come on the market. It's sought after, and they come up on the market not very often. But the average price there is about $1,000.
So how much is the average price? I only heard the tail end of it.
The average single-family house on the river is about $500,000, $400,000 or $500,000. I couldn't really tell you what a lot would be worth because I can't remember the last time one sold or was available for sale on the riverfront.
Okay, and so back to the map here. So now there's this huge big inlet that goes out to the west coast of the island, where the main kind of center that I know of is Bamfield. And how much of that area is developed, and can you buy oceanfront on, all of that area? Is some of it government owned? How does that work? Because it seems like there's some pretty inexpensive waterfront on some of those spots.
Absolutely. It's very much still a wilderness, which is one of the allures of the area. The vast majority of Barclay Sound and the Alberni Inlet is still forest land, so trees up and down. There are a few developments. On the inlet itself, there are 3 major developments. There's Headquarters Bay, Haggard, Cove, and Kildonan, which is a small community.
Okay.
Those are some of the most affordable water frontages on the ocean in our area. Headquarters Bay in particular, the average sale price there for a house is about $300,000. and that's 5 acres, 150 feet of oceanfront. The reason for that is it's a different setup. It's not a land purchase so much as it's a share purchase. A company owns the entire development, and then people buy shares and get exclusive use of their property.
Oh, I see. Okay, now are the other areas like that? The Kildonan and Haggard's Cove, and what about Bamfield? What's that like?
Yeah, okay, so Kildonan is not. It's a small, very small community. There's some float homes for sale in there, and then some regular fee simple properties. Haggard's Cove is a strata. It's mostly a fishing development. You're on almost regular city-sized lots, practically 66 by 125-foot lots. It's affordable in there. Single-family house is anywhere from 250 to 350, 400,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Bamfield. You asked about Bamfield. Bamfield is a village that's about an hour-and-a-half drive or boat ride southwest of Port Alberni, and there's several different waterfront areas to that area. And I would say a single-family house there is about, the average would be about $500,000.
Okay. So it sounds like for the ones that are not part of a strata, is that what it would be considered?
Exactly.
The kind of average prices for single family in most of the areas would be at least around 500. Is that correct?
Yeah, 400 to 500 for sure. You know, that's the average. So there's availability in the 350 range, and we have properties up to $3 million in Bamfield. So it really depends.
Right. Right. And then for somebody who is looking for like a recreational getaway for really inexpensive, they would look at like Haggard's Cove or Headquarters Bay, and they could probably find something quite reasonable there.
Exactly. That's what's beautiful about it. It is affordable to most people. You can have a nice cabin, like I say, in Headquarters Bay for $300,000, and I don't know many other places where that's a possibility. So.
Now, how far is the road out between like Port Alberni to those areas? Like, what kind of a drive would that be?
It's a maintained logging road, so it's a gravel road. There is off-road logging trucks, so it's sort of part of the adventure. But distance-wise, it's about a 45-minute drive to Headquarters Bay, an hour and a half to Bamfield. The road's well maintained, but you certainly would want a truck to make that trip.
The trip to Bamfield or either of the trips?
Either. They're both on the same road, so.
Okay. So yeah, you want to have like a truck or a 4x4 or something.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. And Bamfield is that the end of the West Coast Trail?
It is. It's the terminus of the West Coast Trail. Beautiful area, world famous hiking, world famous kayaking, obviously world famous salmon fishing. I'm a scuba diver and do lots and lots of diving in that area. It's absolutely beautiful, above and below the water.
Is there other diving around Port Alberni, like closer by, or?
There is, and diving tends to be a little bit different. It's the water. There's not as much current in an inlet, so the life isn't as abundant. Different types of life, and
right.
Definitely some nice diving as well.
Yeah, and what's the fishing like in the inlet, or is it better once you get out to the coast?
I think both. It's fantastic fishing. Port Alberni, we call ourselves the salmon capital of the world, so it's certainly this time of year. There's the marinas are full of boats, and the fishermen are out there and doing really well. It's supposed to be a big sockeye run this year, so we're excited about that.
Yeah, I've heard that the fishing is excellent this year too. It's just going crazy from what I've heard. So, okay, well, so the only other question I was wondering about those strata places is, so I'm assuming there's some kind of a monthly fee involved with those, or? There
is. Geez, put me on the spot. Okay, Haggard's Cove, if my memory serves me, is about $45 a month, I believe. I could be wrong. I'd have to double check that. We don't see those come up very often, so we don't work in that area too terribly often. Headquarters Bay is a little bit tricky. It's because it's a share purchase, the company pays the entirety of the taxes, and then you pay taxes on your improvements. So there's a small monthly fee. It's a nominal monthly fee, and then you pay your taxes separately. So it depends on your property.
Right, just like regular property taxes that you'd pay for your own house somewhere else.
Just not on the land, only on the improvement. So it's a little different.
Oh, okay, I see. So it's probably less expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not too crazy if you're, thinking about from owning a condo in Vancouver. It sounds like it's less expensive than that type of thing.
It is. I mean, the only things that the fees pay for are there's a common water system, so you know that's paid for. Some road maintenance at Headquarters Bay. It's a gated community, so there's a year-round caretaker.
Yeah.
Everyone generates their own power there, so that's one thing people should be aware of. Is there is no electricity. Everyone has their own propane generators and run everything on propane, so that keeps the fees down.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it sounds like there's a lot of fun stuff to do in the Alberni Valley with Waterfront, and I know Sproat Lake is pretty popular for a lot of people in the summer, and with the riverfront there for, you know, for people that are into river fishing and stuff, I'm sure there's fishing there too. And you've got the saltwater fishing right there too, so that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever, depending on what you like to do. If you like the freshwater boating or the saltwater fishing, we really do have a little bit of everything here.
Yeah, and also the lake ski, like water skiing and stuff, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool. So what's the market like right now in Port Alberni? Has it, in some of the other places in BC, the smaller towns, it kind of the market was a little bit slow for a few years, but in most of the places that I'm, you know, we have clients, it's now picked up in the last few months. Is that, I mean, the same case there, or is Port Alberni, has it been busy throughout, or and what's the recreational market like right now?
You're absolutely right. I mean, the market in probably all small town BC has definitely been on a decline since 2008, since the financial crisis. We've seen things start to pick up about midway through last year. Buying activity started to pick up. Prices seem to be relatively flat, so we're really excited that the market seems to be definitely seems to be improving. Still say it's a great buyer's market, great time to buy and get into the waterfront market. But yeah, no, we're really positive and excited about what we're seeing lately.
That's great. So where are you seeing the buyers come from? Are they local? Are they from Alberta? From Victoria and Vancouver? For recreational properties specifically, what kind of buyers are you seeing?
It's very interesting. There's a very defined split between freshwater and saltwater. The freshwater buyers tend to be coming from the island places like Nanaimo, Victoria, or even Vancouver more so. Whereas with the saltwater, it's definitely an Alberta, Calgary, Edmonton sort of thing. Still, we're starting to see some activity from the States. The activity from the States dropped off, of course, when the Canadian dollar got so strong, but we're starting to see a little bit more activity now in the saltwater market from the States for sure.
Oh yeah, and are those people looking for something like the strata type thing, or are they looking for like a single family home, you know, in Bamfield, that type of thing?
Well, both probably. Definitely more so, I would say, in Bamfield. Bamfield is something that people in the States would hear about a lot more so than Headquarters Bay, which is something we have to tell people about. But Bamfield is a well-known fishing destination, so definitely. Yeah,
so it's a lot of the fishermen that are that are coming up and looking for places. I was wondering about that because, like the statistics from our website. Typically, we get about 10 to 12% of people from the States coming to the site, and the majority, we have lots of Albertans, and even when the market was down, there was always sort of 20 to 25% of our traffic came from Alberta. So I wondered if the U.S. market, even though the numbers sort of stayed the same, the reports from our clients were that the buyers were not, they were maybe looking but not actually put in on offers and stuff. And that was actually the same with buyers from Alberta. They were coming and looking and maybe not making offers because they were waiting for kind of the bottom of the market to do their negotiating. So yeah, so that's interesting that the U.S. buyers are kind of coming up. I guess with the dollar, that works in their favor as well. So makes sense for them right now to start looking into buying stuff here again.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I think the dollar changing and maybe the economy down there picking up as well has been the impetus for them starting to take a look back up in this area for sure.
Yeah, that probably doesn't hurt. So my last question is, are there any good deals that you have right now? Like you were saying that, you know, it's still a bit of there's still a few good prices out there. It's still a bit of a buyer's market. But it might not be for long. So if anybody's looking for a good deal, do you have a couple? And I can put them in the blog. And yeah, just tell us about, you know, if you have a really good price right now or something that's really amazing property, this is your chance to let us know.
Okay. Well, all of my properties are amazingly priced and are all awesome properties.
Of course.
The one we just had in Bamfield actually just had a $50,000 price reduction on it, and it is very, very interesting. You can drive up to it, which is nice in Bamfield. So you have road access, a dock, a freezer house, boat access, the whole works. Beautiful, beautiful custom kitchen. Even has no totem poles inside the house. It's a beautiful home, and it's listed at $625. So that's a fantastic price on that one too.
Oh wow, that sounds great. So yeah, maybe some Americans will come up and take a look at it. Sounds like a pretty great place. Okay, well, thanks for joining us and telling us about the area, and I guess we'll end off now, and then I will write a blog based around this with information in writing, and I'll put those deals that Chris mentioned in the blog. So if anybody wants to take a look at those really good deals, you can get a link to the property with all the property details on our website. So thanks for joining us, Chris.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Okay, have a great week.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.